Did you know that there is a capital city that was built for millions of people but remains practically empty? And that the US wasted $17 billion for a mega project that was never even used and remains completely useless to this day? In this video, we're going to explore 5 of the most useless projects in the world, and trust me when I tell you this, each is more absurd than the last. Let's begin with perhaps the most controversial airport ever built. At number 5, we have the Ciudad Real Central Airport in Spain. Originally envisioned as an alternative to the crowded Madrid airport, this project aimed to serve as a destination for both domestic and international travelers. With a long runway and capacity for 2 million passengers initially, plans were in place to expand it to accommodate up to 10 million travelers annually. However, it quickly hit a roadblock, and it's pretty funny. Despite being named Central, the airport was good 200 kilometers away from Madrid. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, that seems like an absurd journey to make just to catch a flight. It was extremely inconvenient for passengers who preferred the accessibility of the capital city. As a result, within its first year of operation, the airport lost major airlines and was left with only one small-time carrier. With no major airline support, they ended up accumulating a massive debt of $350 million, ultimately causing the airport to file for bankruptcy in 2012. Despite multiple attempts to auction off the airport, including a widely reported low offer of $12,000, it wasn't until 2019 that new owners took over. The COVID-19 pandemic presented a new opportunity for the airport when it transformed into a storage facility for grounded planes due to its ample space, dry climate, and long runway. By August 2020, it housed 65 airplanes and had plans for further expansion to accommodate over 300 aircraft. While this storage approach has provided a temporary lifeline for the airport, its long-term prospects are still doubtful. That's because when the pandemic's travel restrictions lifted and normal flight operations started again, the stored planes gradually got removed, leaving the airport without a sustainable business model. To this day, the Ciudad Real Central Airport remains effectively useless for the majority of passengers. But I'd rather have an empty airport than the next project on this list, because at number 4, we have Naypyidaw, Myanmar, an unusual capital city that was built from scratch. Myanmar's former military leaders decided to shift the capital to a new location in 2002, but the name of the city was kept a secret until later. The reasons for this change were unclear, with some speculating security concerns and others suggesting astrological advice played a role. Regardless, the shift was partly due to the limitations of the former capital, Yangon, which was reaching its infrastructure capacity and projected to double in population by 2050. Naypyidaw was quickly constructed with extensive amenities such as a 20-lane highway, luxury hotels, golf courses, and even a replica landmark. But for a major city, it's missing just one detail, people. A significant number of people were hesitant to permanently move there due to limited healthcare, education, and job opportunities. As a result, Naypyidaw is often described as a ghost town, with deserted streets, empty buildings, and barely any cars on the street. And considering it's almost 4 times as big as London and 6 times as big as NYC, I wouldn't be caught here after dark. Despite this, as Myanmar's population continues to grow, the city still has the potential for development in the future. Currently, it stands as one of the world's strangest capitals that is largely unused by the country's population. But it isn't the most vain city on our list, because coming in at number 3, we have the Forest City in Malaysia, a unique and ambitious project that didn't live up to the hype. The developers initially said they aimed to build a futuristic, environmentally friendly smart city on reclaimed land. Its location near Singapore attracted investors looking to benefit from its proximity to the bustling city-state, and with the developers already connecting Forest City to Singapore through a bridge, they made travel between the two cities more convenient. The city was going to boast innovative green features, such as buildings with rooftop gardens and a multi-layered street design that includes parks and sports facilities. Plus, there was the ambitious goal for Forest City to run entirely on renewable energy. However, the project has faced multiple challenges in its journey. Initially, it saw a major influx of Chinese investors, leading to concerns about affordability and cultural influence. In response, the Malaysian government implemented restrictions on foreign property ownership, leading to a decline in investment. The COVID-19 pandemic further disrupted progress, with travel bans preventing new investors from entering the country. As a result, the project's population dropped much below the intended capacity. Since then, the company behind Forest City has faced financial difficulties and had to lay off a significant number of Malaysian workers. While the project was ambitious, it currently faces several hurdles and is considered underutilized. Moving on to our top two, first off, we have the Yucca Mountain Nuclear Waste Repository. This is a mega project that aims to address the issue of nuclear waste disposal. Currently, nuclear waste is stored above ground near power plants, but experts agree that storing it deep underground is the safest long-term solution. So in the 1980s, Yucca Mountain in Nevada was chosen as the potential site for a repository due to its isolated location and geologic characteristics. However, there was strong opposition from the people of Nevada, who didn't want to be the sole dumping site for the country's nuclear waste. Concerns were raised about potential contamination of nearby water sources, but despite these conflicts, the project received approval in 2002. But you know what they say, where there's a will, there's a way. And after years of protesting, the Obama administration finally shelved the idea, deeming it unworkable and ultimately halting funding. Although a federal court later ordered its resumption, progress has been minimal, and the Biden administration has made it clear that Yucca Mountain is no longer part of the country's plans. You can't help but wonder how much money they could have saved by actually listening to the locals of Nevada. But listening has never been the developer's strong point, and our number one most vain project in the world is further proof of that. The Interstate H3 highway in Hawaii is this scenic stretch of road that spans 26 kilometers through some of the world's most breathtaking landscapes. But did you know that the beauty of the surroundings was actually a concern, as authorities worried that motorists would be so captivated that they'd stop and create traffic hazards? Here's the thing though, the highway's usefulness has been a subject of debate from the very beginning. The original plan was proposed in 1960 to connect the Pearl Harbor Naval Base to the Marine Corps Air Station for defense purposes. Yet, it faced strong opposition from environmental groups and native Hawaiians who feared the urbanization that the project would bring. The project saw delay after delay as environmental laws and route changes were implemented to protect the valleys surrounding the area. Activists gave it their all to ensure the highway didn't see the light of day, but despite their best efforts, Congress exempted the project from these laws in 1989, giving the green light for construction. The highway was completed in 1997, a whopping 37 years after it was first proposed. And while I won't deny Interstate H3 is an engineering marvel, it does make you wonder if it was all worth it. The engineers had to overcome challenging terrain and utilize advanced technologies like high-tech tunnels and viaducts to minimize the impact on the environment below. But these accomplishments came at a steep price. Decades of delays, route alterations, and costly technologies caused the project's budget to skyrocket. The total cost of construction reached a staggering $1.3 billion, making it the most expensive highway per kilometer in the world, a jaw-dropping $50 million per kilometer. And yet, despite the massive expenditure, many critics argue that the highway ultimately leads to nowhere. The original defense considerations have become irrelevant, and it lacks a direct route to downtown Honolulu, leaving it pretty much useless. Not to mention the amount of drama it caused amongst the locals, as native Hawaiians straight up call it the cursed road. But to be honest, the developers did destroy religiously significant sites during construction, so it left a lasting sense of resentment among these communities. In the end, the Interstate H3 highway stands as the perfect example of developers making mega projects without actually thinking things through. It's hard to say if the public opinion will ever change on these sites, so what do you think? Will these projects ever flourish like they were meant to? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. The fate of these megaprojects is uncertain, and it remains to be seen if any of them will be deemed useful or find new purposes in the future.